In half an hour, a North West Tonight special live from Crumpsall. But first, the BBC News at 6.
Today at 6, a deadly attack on a synagogue in Manchester. 2 people have been killed, 4 are in hospital. The attacker was shot dead by police within 7 minutes of the first 999 call.
We were stabbing at the window, so the police screamed at him, you know, packing him kind of thing. And then he like turned round and he looked like he was going to mess with something in his jacket, so they opened fire at him.
It has brought shock and fear to this community here in Greater Manchester, and police have declared it a terrorist incident. In the last few minutes, the Prime Minister had this to say.
And so, on behalf of our country, I express my solidarity, but also my sadness, that you still have to live with these fears. Nobody should have to do that. Nobody.
Police say the suspect was wearing a vest that had the appearance of an explosive device, but it wasn't viable.
The attacker has been shot dead by the police. We believe we know their identity, but for safety reasons at the scene, we're unable to confirm at this stage.
And this evening, extra police are being deployed at synagogues across the country to boost security.
In the northwest, we'll be live in Manchester with more as 2 people are killed and 4 are seriously injured at outside Heaton Park Synagogue. We'll get reaction from across the community as leaders of all faiths appeal for calm and compassion.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6 live in Manchester. 2 people have been killed and 4 people are in hospital this evening after an attack outside a synagogue just behind me here in a street in Greater Manchester. The suspect was shot dead by police who a few hours later carried out a controlled explosion in the area. Now, this happened on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. And the King and Queen have said that they are deeply shocked and saddened that such a horrific event could happen on such a significant day for the Jewish community. Well, Greater Manchester is home to around 25,000 Jewish people. It is the largest community outside London and the southeast of England. Police say they received a call from a member of the public here just after 9:30 this morning after reports of a car being driven at people at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue here in Crumpsall in Greater Manchester. Armed police were on the scene just 3 minutes later. At 9:37, Greater Manchester Police declared a major incident and instigated Operation Plato. That is a national anti-terror response. And then at 9:38, armed police opened fire. 1 man was shot, and officers said they believe that he was the offender. Well, in the last few minutes, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has released this statement.
But to every Jewish person in this country, I also want to say this. I know how much fear you will be holding inside of you. I really do. And so, on behalf of our country, I express my solidarity, but also my sadness, that you still have to live with these fears. Nobody should have to do that. Nobody. And so I promise you that I will do everything in my power to guarantee you the security that you deserve, starting with a more visible police presence protecting your community. I promise you that over the coming days, you will see the other Britain, the Britain of compassion, of decency, of love. And I promise you that this Britain will come together to wrap our arms around your community and show you that Britain is a place where you and your family are safe, secure, and belong.
We'll have more on the police investigation and on the impact on the wider Jewish community through the programme this evening. But first, our UK editor, Ed Thomas, joins me. Now, you were here at the scene, Ed, I think within an hour of this happening this morning.
Yeah, we came down here straight away as soon as these reports came in. And what is important to stress here, yes, we know this is one of the holiest days in the Jewish calendar. And what that meant in reality for people is that they were praying in synagogues all around this area. And of course, that is is a day of reflection. It's a day to contemplate, and also for people in this Jewish community here, it's a day to leave their electronic devices at home. They weren't using mobile phones. There were no mobile phones inside the synagogue here. And when we arrived, there was utter confusion. People just couldn't get in contact with people. They didn't know if loved ones were safe. They didn't know if loved ones were in hospitals close by. And it is probably testament here to the response of the police and also the security here around synagogues. We know tensions have been rising. It's soon to be the second anniversary of those horrific attacks on October the 7th. But with that, and with this rise that we've seen in the country of anti-Semitism, there's also been a rise in security. And every single synagogue we went to in this area, there were police outside, there was private security outside, and as we now know, there was security outside this synagogue here. And that, Anna, is what means that this could have been a lot worse and probably saved a few lives. I must warn you, my report has distressing images.
Get back! If you're not involved, move back!
First, there's panic.
Everybody else! He has a ball!
The attacker is on the floor, still moving.
He's got a bomb on his jacket, mate. He's trying to go into school.
The fear is the attacker has a bomb strapped to his body.
He's going to blow himself up. He's trying to press the button.
And there's shots.
Shoot him!
Close up, we see the attacker, the white packages. Police say this was not a viable suicide vest. Knife in hand, and look at the windows. We've blurred the faces, but people watch on, locked inside.
So he was stabbing at the window, and obviously the police have warned him.
And all this was filmed and witnessed by Gareth and his colleague Martin.
There was another guy in front of him, in front of the car. I don't know if the car had hit him or whatever, but whatever, he was on the floor fighting for his life. And then literally someone in the crowd shouted, he's got something on him. And as I turned round, he was literally stabbing at the synagogue window door, trying to get in.
He was trying to set the bomb off.
Did he say anything to the police at all?
No.
Were any words spoken?
No.
This was the scene just an hour after the attack. Roadblocks, worry, confusion.
The problem is that we don't know the true story, what's going on. Someone claims that it's a knife, someone claims it's a bomb, shooting. No, it's a proper story.
Josh is a journalist for an international Jewish newspaper. He lives opposite the synagogue.
I cover attacks in synagogues all over the world. That's what I do. But I never thought it would be on my own doorstep. I never thought that in this area, of all places, but this would happen. Don't fight hatred with hatred. You don't fight violence with violence. You fight violence with calmness.
This is a moment for calm for you.
Yeah.
By the afternoon, police came here looking for evidence. This is 1 minute's drive from the synagogue, and this cul-de-sac is now cordoned off. We have seen ambulances come and go, armed police come and go, police vans come and go, and this is now the scene of intense police activity. Eyewitnesses believed at least one person was taken away by police.
I've seen quite a large volume of armed police, to be honest.
Coming in and out of that street?
Coming in and out, yeah. So they've seemed to have certainly accosted someone down there.
Today, anti-terror police confirmed 2 people have been detained and that they do know the identity of the attacker.
There were a large number of worshippers attending the synagogue at the time of this attack. But thanks to the immediate bravery of security staff and the worshippers inside, as well as the fast response of the police, the attacker was prevented from gaining access. All those inside were safely contained until police were able to confirm that it was safe to leave the premises. The attacker has been shot dead by the police. We believe we know their identity, but for safety reasons at the scene, we're unable to confirm at this stage. 3 other members of the public are in a serious condition. We have also made 2 further arrests. And based on what we know, counter-terrorism policing has declared this as a terrorist incident.
Today the King sent this message. He said, "My wife and I have been deeply shocked and saddened to learn of the horrific attack in Manchester, especially on such a significant day for the Jewish community. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by this appalling incident, and we greatly appreciate the swift actions of the emergency services." The Prime Minister pledged to increase security.
The attack in Manchester this morning is absolutely shocking, and all of our thoughts are with those affected. I'm on my way back to London. When I arrive, I will chair an emergency COBRA meeting. I'm already able to say that additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe.
And what about the young kid? How do they understand this?
Choppers outside, tons of cops.
Teenagers, Shia and Benji, were praying at the time.
It can happen to anyone, you know, and...
That's how it feels, right?
Yeah, that's how it feels, so... It's just happened, someone's popped in there, I don't know exactly what's happened, and so, you know, we're praying down in that synagogue just over there, and it could happen there as well, you know. So it's just, you know, things are escalating, and it's you know, scarier.
I just think it's a bit strange. I don't really think there's any need to be, like, violent like this. I don't really know what we've done.
It was meant to be a day of reflection in one of the country's biggest Jewish communities. It ended with extreme violence and the killing of people who just wanted to come to their synagogue to worship.
That's Ed Thomas, our UK editor, reporting. Well, Greater Manchester Police said that they had declared Plato within minutes of the attack happening this morning. That is the code word that's used by police and the emergency services to deal with what they describe as a marauding terror attack. And security is now being stepped up at synagogues across the country. Our UK correspondent Daniel Sandford has the details.
Across the UK, from London to Scotland, police officers were deployed to synagogues and Jewish schools this afternoon. It was an immediate response to the worst attack on a synagogue ever seen in Britain.
An attack on our Jewish community today on Yom Kippur is devastating. Communities across the UK would normally be marking this holy day are now grieving and worried about their safety. And I want to be clear, UK policing is mobilising, and it's mobilising fast. Police forces are stepping up patrols across the country, at synagogues and Jewish sites, and more widely to provide reassurance to all those communities who have been affected by this incident.
Anti-Semitic incidents have been on the rise in Britain, with record numbers being recorded since the October the 7th attack in Israel 2 years ago. There have been more serious attacks in places such as Colorado in the United States and Melbourne in Australia. But in the UK, there's been nothing as bad as today. For many in Britain's Jewish communities, this is the day that they had feared, had dreaded and had been warned about. The first deadly attack on a British synagogue. Synagogues have been stepping up security for years, as have other religious sites like mosques.
The Jewish community, probably above all others in the UK, is very mobilised towards security. They've lived with enduring threats for many, many years.
But today's was the worst attack on any religious institution in the UK. More deadly than the Finsbury Park attack on Muslims near a mosque in 2017.
Everyone back! Everyone back!
The implications of such a serious attack at a place of worship so great, the Prime Minister immediately returned from Denmark to chair the COBRA emergency meeting himself. Politicians from all sides were urged to work together to reduce the atmosphere of hate and anger.
To look at the environment which has at times enabled or turned a blind eye or sometimes fueled the anti-Semitism in which this attack occurred today.
At times when religious hatred is growing, anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim hatred, and all of the forms of hatred is growing, it's time that we stand together in unity with courage and moral clarity.
For many, today's attack needs to be a turning point to avoid a descent into greater hate and acrimony. Daniel Sandford, BBC News.
Well, a police investigation into the suspect has been going on all day, and in fact you can possibly hear the police helicopter that's hovering above us here this evening. In the last few hours, officers say they made 2 arrests. We can speak to our reporter Philip Norton for more on that, who joins us now. Philip.
Yes, you join me just a few hundred metres away from the main police cordon. This is another police cordon that's in place. This street has been sealed off. This is White House Avenue. This is a cul-de-sac, and there's been a lot of police activity taking place at a property at the end of this cul-de-sac. On the right-hand side, there's been many police officers coming and going from this property all afternoon. We've seen detectives coming and going from this property. Someone who was working nearby earlier on today told us how they saw armed police descend on this street and they were seen to take someone away. So that whether that was a possible arrest or not, we don't know. But let me give you an idea as to where we are in relation to the scene of that attack this morning. Just up there is the main police cordon. You can probably see the people just standing by that up there, and just beyond that, a couple of hundred metres or so beyond that, is the synagogue where this attack took place this morning. Now, I have to say that there's been no confirmation at all as to whether any of this police activity is in connection with that attack this morning. Officially, Greater Manchester Police say 2 people have been arrested and their inquiries are ongoing.
Philip, thank you very much indeed. Well, later in the programme, we will look at the wider impact that this has had on the Jewish community, not just here in Manchester, but around the country as well. And we'll also hear more about the political response, the fact that Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, flew back from a summit in Denmark early to take control of a Cobra meeting earlier today. We'll be joined by our political editor, Chris Mason. But for now, let's return to Tina in London with the rest of the day's news.
Anna, thank you. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, has condemned what he called the reprehensible behaviour of some officers exposed by secret BBC filming, and admitted that toxic beliefs are now underground in the force. 11 people from the Met are now under formal investigation, one for a potential criminal offence following last night's Panorama investigation. I must warn you that this report contains discriminatory language. Daniel De Simone reports.
The morning after, Britain's most senior police officer arriving to answer questions about a new scandal in his force, a force which has national responsibilities.
Do you take personal responsibility for this?
I'm the Commissioner of the Met. I'm the accountable person for the organisation. Of course, it's everything the Met does is my personal responsibility. We are sorry for what is in this. It's vile to watch, isn't it? They're ghastly individuals. It's completely unacceptable.
He's talking about secret footage by BBC Panorama. Our undercover reporter captured cases of misogyny, racism and officers revelling in the use of force at Charing Cross police station.
The Somalians are scum. Somalians are ugly. Any person's the worst to deal with. God, we shall lose our job right now.
This is an off-duty Metropolitan Police officer, PC Phil Nielsen, talking about some of the communities of London he polices.
I've seen too many Islamics committing crimes. Their way of life is not the correct way of life.
And referring to cases he says he's dealt with.
Either put a bullet through his head or deport him.
The Prime Minister today reacted to the BBC's investigation.
And it's shocking, and I'm glad the Commissioner's responding. He needs to be very robust in his response. Thank you. Prime Minister.
Panorama's evidence shows misogyny and racism haven't vanished, but been driven underground.
You see in that programme toxic individuals. You hear them talking about hiding away, about being careful about who they talk to as they express their views.
So you accept it's going underground?
Of course I do.
Charing Cross Police Station had been at the centre of another major scandal just before Sir Mark Rowley took over the Met.
How is that the case if you're on top of things?
I'm on top of things because of all the people we've removed. We're going to keep being relentless. We're going to keep bearing down on this until it's all removed from the organisation.
Aisha Hussein's cousin Jan was murdered by a sex offender known to the Met.
For the public to see how bad the Met were and to watch that documentary last night was just shocking, and his attitude just stunk, and I think he needs to resign. He's not doing his job properly, clearly.
Have you considered your position? Have you considered resigning?
I'm not resigning. I'm proud of what our teams have done in terms of taking on these cancers within the organisation, the scale of the progress being made.
But the BBC's investigation shows a toxic culture in the Met hasn't been eliminated and revealed what needs to change in Britain's biggest police force. Daniel De Simone, BBC News.
And you can watch the full Panorama investigation, Undercover in the Police. It's available now on BBC iPlayer. BBC News has learned that 7 patients have died after multiple failures by a heart surgeon who's still working for the NHS. Serious concerns about Karen Booth's performance were first raised by colleagues in 2018, but the Freeman Hospital in Newcastle didn't launch an investigation until 3 years later. She's expected to resume her surgical career in the coming months. A man who coerced a 15-year-old girl into an Islamic wedding has been found guilty of sexual offences along with 7 other British Pakistani men. The victim was living in a children's home in Bradford and was groomed and abused when the ceremony took place in the early 2000s. Bradford City Council have apologised for the serious failings in the way they and others acted. Our Home Affairs correspondent Emma Glasby has been speaking to the victim.
I was a married woman at 15. I was married to an abuser. This was far more than a grooming case. This was an institutional scandal.
Anna, not her real name, was sexually abused by a number of men in Bradford from the age of 13. When she was 15, she had an Islamic wedding to a man who'd been grooming her. She was in care at the time.
I was allowed to marry a man who'd already been labelled an abuser by social services. I was on a care order. I lost my childhood. I lost my whole upbringing.
It was more than 20 years ago Anna married a man in Bradford called Raja Zulkarnain. He sometimes locked her in a cellar with no food. At Bradford Crown Court, he was jailed for 18 years for rape and indecent assault. But Court of Appeal judges increased that to 23 years. We heard in court that Anna's key social worker, a man called Anwar Mia, attended her Islamic wedding ceremony when she was 15 and living in a children's home. That's despite other social workers raising their concerns to him that she was being exploited. Now, the BBC has found Anwar Mia, but he would not appear on camera. He did tell us he has now been questioned by police about malfeasance in public office, and he said no further action is being taken. Anna contacted the BBC when she saw Basharat Khalik, one of her abusers, in a news report about grooming in 2019. Her care records revealed social workers had concerns back in 2003 that Asian men were attempting to assault her. 6 years on from that BBC News report, 8 men have been found guilty of sexual offences against her.
The women that have got justice over the last 10 or 15 years are just a snippet of the girls who were abused in Bradford and Keighley.
West Yorkshire Police says we acknowledge and accept that victims of child sexual exploitation have been failed in the past. The work undertaken over the past decade has resulted in hundreds of perpetrators now serving lengthy prison sentences. Many investigations are still underway. Anna is finally seeing justice, but she has lived with more than 20 years of trauma. Emma Glasby, BBC News, Bradford.
Well, we can go back now to our top story today about the attack on the Jewish synagogue in Manchester, and Anna Foster, who is live in Manchester for us. Anna.
Tina, thank you. Well, as we've been reflecting during the programme, the attack today happened on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Yom Kippur is a time of fasting and atonement, and to many the timing of this attack feels designed to cause the maximum hurt and distress to the Jewish community. Well, our religion editor Aleem Makboul has been speaking to Jewish leaders and joins us from the Oxford Jewish Synagogue. Aleem.
Yes, well, a great deal of hurt being felt, as you can expect, among Jewish communities up and down the country. And as you alluded to, that hurt only being amplified because this attack has happened as it has on Yom Kippur, as was explained to me a short while ago by a senior rabbi.
It's the most sacred day in the entire Jewish calendar. It's like our Christmas or Easter rolled up in one. And it's supposed to be about prayer and penitence and atonement, not about bloodshed. And of course, also being such an important day, it means there's a mass gathering. So whereas perhaps in this synagogue, for instance, that I'm at the moment, there might have normally been 30 or 40 people on an ordinary service, there's maybe about 300 or 400 today. So which implies that the attacker knew exactly what he was doing and go for maximum impact.
Well, because it is Yom Kippur, a lot of Jews also don't access social media, they don't watch the television. So for many, they will only be hearing about the horrific details of this attack after nightfall, or they'll be hearing about it at synagogue services where there will now be prayers said for those who've been killed. And also because it's Yom Kippur, there was, of course, an increase in security, but it's worth bearing in mind that security outside synagogues is often volunteers, young and old, men and women, who are just trying to protect the very congregations that they belong to.
Aleem, thank you. Well, let me just bring you in the last few minutes a statement from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He says Israel grieves with the Jewish community in the UK after the barbaric terror attack in Manchester. Our hearts are with the families of the murdered and we pray for the swift recovery of the wounded. As I warned at the UN, weakness in the face of terrorism only brings more terrorism. Only strength and unity can defeat it. The words there of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, released just in the last few minutes. Well, the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was at a summit in Denmark earlier today, but flew back early to chair a meeting of COBRA. Our political editor Chris Mason joins us from Westminster. Chris, what has the Prime Minister been saying?
I thought it was a very human statement, Anna, from the Prime Minister in just the last 45 minutes or so. Yes, there is the practical realities that he and police chiefs are working through, particularly providing additional visible support around synagogues to support frightened Jewish communities around the country. But as I say, an emphasis on the human from the Prime Minister, a sense that so many Jews had come to the UK as a place of refuge and a place of safety, nodding to the reality, the daily reality for so many Jewish communities of living in fear, and then that obviously heightened after a terrorist attack like this. A couple of sentences struck me, Anna, from the Prime Minister, talking about anti-Semitism, saying it is not a new hate, but a hatred that is rising again. And I think also trying to capture the wider revulsion that will be felt from so many people around the country tonight, a revulsion expressed by opposition party leaders here, also the First Ministers of Scotland and Wales and others. It wouldn't surprise me if we see the Prime Minister travel to Manchester in the coming hours and days, and perhaps we'll hear more from others about the stepping up of that support for the Jewish community, particularly that more visible policing support.
Chris Mason, our political editor in Westminster, thank you very much indeed. Well, our UK editor, Ed Thomas, is still with me here in Manchester. We've been talking, Ed, about the impact on the community here on a day like Yom Kippur.
Yeah, speak to people here tonight, speak to people in the hours after this attack, and the one thing they were talking about is the people who have been injured here, the people who have lost their lives. They just wanted to know more. And thoughts tonight very much with the families of the two members of the Jewish community who lost their lives in this attack. But we do know, Anna, that there are 4 other people who are in hospital tonight. We don't know the severity of their condition, but the police have told us these are serious injuries. Earlier tonight we spoke to a friend of one of the people we understand who is in hospital. They were a neighbour of this person. They said they were young, they had a family, but one issue that they were facing was that because it is Yom Kippur, information was just not flowing and they were desperate to learn more. And also tonight, Anna, praise for the security staff here, the people who come out day in, day out to protect people who only want to go and worship and pray at the synagogue. They, and like the police now, want to know more. They want to find out more about this attacker. What were the influences, and if anything else or anyone was involved.
Thomas, our UK editor, with me here in Manchester. Thank you very much. Well, coverage continues on the BBC News channel if you want to continue following this story, and on the BBC website as well. Now here on BBC One, let's get the weather. Here's Ben Rich. Hi, Ben.
Anna, thank you very much. Good evening. This time tomorrow, the winds will really be strengthening, particularly across the northern half of the UK because of